Hello, and welcome to Project Bolead, where we discover what this fascinating planet has to show. Today, we find ourselves on the continent of Feyorth, which is broken into three regions, Northern, Middle, and Lower Feyorth, where there exists a nation of people made of stone, named Boldrobedden. To give you a glimpse of this country, we will be discussing these four topics: the Stonemen, Chiseling culture, body modification, and Tiggy's chisel shop. So, let's begin. Chapter 1. So who are the Stonemen? Stonemen are a race of people on Bolead, whose body is partially composed of rocks or stone-like parts. Their anatomy is interesting and perhaps should be reserved for another day, but to make it simple, each rock-like shape that makes up a Stoneman's body is actually hard on the outside and soft on the inside. They have blood and guts, but totally encased in a mineral shell, or exoskeleton that, if a piece were snapped off, would be totally indistinguishable from regular rocks. They don't have muscles like you or I, but they do have organs that act like hydraulics, and even some internal body parts act like electrical switches, which allow them to move their bodies as fluidly as you or I would. As you can imagine, though, this rocky exoskeleton makes them heavy, and a culturally abrasive people. Stonemen are found all through the West Face, but are densely populated in Middle and Lower Feyorth, with Boldrobedden having the highest population of Stonemen, with Delmora and West Delmora trailing in second and third respectively. Many squishies find coexisting with Stonemen to be rather difficult. Their nations often are not as accommodating. Many surfaces and objects are rough, spiky, or untreated like wood, still full of splinters, or heavier than normal cups, plates, utensils, tables. Many restaurants serve food that is partially inedible to non-Stonemen, with dishes being high in minerals and salts and such. Boldrobedden is especially unforgiving in this way, and has a low immigrant count as a result. It's nearly all Stonemen. Chapter 2. Chiseling culture in Boldrobedden. Ancient Boldran people have always recognized a similarity between them and the inanimate world. They have seen themselves as the mediators between the non-living mountains, boulders and stones, and the alive animals, plants, and fungi. They believed there were only two things that made them different from the still mountains. They could walk, and they could talk. The cultural phenomenon of chiseling or engraving started by giving the caves and mountains that Boldrans call home a voice. They began to carve into the rock stories and records they believed the mountains thought would be important for future Boldrans to know and remember. The oldest known carving is in a nearly lost language called Reviran, named after the Revira Mountains where it was first discovered, and is known as the Reviran Reminder. The carving says this: "You may think I am not alive when you glance upon me from afar, but in my grass, in my woods, and in my caves, I never sleep, even when you do." As history moves along, the Boldrans graduated from caves to building temples. Complex ones, as seen in the Welikasoto Temple, which lies just outside of the capital city of Daraguthaskama, in the province of Darug. This once missing slab, called the Welikasoto Temple Slab number 15, was rediscovered in the country to the north, Jalsaji. It was likely cut out and sold. It was recently returned, however, and now rests in a museum in the capital. Relief chiseling like this started around the same time as scarification chiseling did. Again, it was for Boldran people to record things on their body that would immediately communicate something important to someone before even speaking to them. Chiefs, kings, gang leaders, warriors, public officials, almost everyone had chiselings on them of some sort to assert authority or status to others. Whenever one would hit a milestone or change occupation or gained a new rank, they would add it to their body. This became so bad at one point in Boldrobedden's history that some people were chiseling themselves dangerously thin, and totally devalued the significance and worth of the symbols many were having engraved on their bodies. Many people, in fact, became brittle and worn and just looked ridiculous and unhealthy. The emperor at the time empowered his governors to draft laws where a person could only have a chiseling if they applied for it with proper documentation and were approved by the government. This ended up venerating chiselers from a common occupation to one of great status. Today, these laws have been severely weakened to near non-existence, but a few vestigial laws remain. You could imagine that means the culture of chiseling is now less about status and more about self-expression. The Boldran man seen here is named Warigomez Nentioroa, a former Boldran Defense Force officer known for his striking chiselings. Chapter 3. Lapidary Body Grinding. and Middle Feyorth are two massive countries with a similar culture and heavy-hitting economies, Grand Fulton and Meridia. Their influence stretches far and wide thanks to the power their movies, music, and entertainment has had on the world. This can be clearly seen in how Meridian beauty standards have influenced Boldrobeddens. Wider eyes, thinner, softer features, large, smooth, bolder mammaries. Perhaps out of insecurity, Boldron women have increasingly been modifying their body by grinding their features down to look more like Meridian and Fultonian beauties. This lapidary process can be dangerous to undergo, as the more you grind down the rocky exoskeleton, the more likely you are to utterly weaken the structure it provides the innards. Some Boldrons have been comparing this to the chiseling craze from a few hundred years ago, due to modern stories of Boldron women addicted to grinding coming back for more, until their stone is so thin they have their guts spill out from the weak spots it creates. Although cases of this are rare and likely alarmist. Chapter 4. Tiggy's Chisel Shop. One of the oldest chisel shops still standing is Tiggy's Chisel Shop in downtown Dodaguthaskama. It started 400 years ago when you still had to apply to get chiseling done on your body. It was just one guy operating out of his home. The name of the shop was decided due to patrons jokingly referring to it as Tiggy's, which was the name of the man's boisterous pet Boldron megatoad. The shop has been passed down from father to son for nearly 20 generations, with the Tiggy you see here being a descendant of the very first Tiggy. In the seat here is a boy named Brob. He just turned 15 today, the legal age to receive what are called intentional marks. The shop is closed, but his cousin and current owner of Tiggy's, Darmid Nagarugzi, gets ready to give him his first chiseling. Brob wants a sparrow chiseled into his arm. His mother's favorite bird was a sparrow, which she used to see all the time when she lived in the mountains near her hometown of Narakath. Congratulations, Brob, and happy birthday. And with that, we have completed our brief visit of Boldrobedden. Thank you for stopping by, and hopefully you will visit Bolead again in the next video. Goodbye for now.